When Brené Brown speaks about vulnerability, she flips the typical notion of strength on its head. Vulnerability, she teaches us, is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful form of courage. In a world that often encourages us to hide our true selves, vulnerability becomes a radical act of bravery. It's the willingness to show up fully even when we can't control the outcome, and to risk being seen for who we truly are, rather than who we think we should be. Brené Brown emphasizes that vulnerability is the essence of all that makes us human. It's the space where creativity, love, and joy are born. When we choose to embrace vulnerability, we invite others to connect with us on a deeper level. It's not about exposing ourselves recklessly, but about allowing others to see the real, unpolished parts of us. The most beautiful moments in life are those when we let our guard down and allow ourselves to connect, to feel, to love, even though there are no guarantees. Vulnerability means stepping forward without a guarantee of success or acceptance. It's having that difficult conversation, taking the leap into a new job, saying I love you first, or trying something new, despite the risk of failure. Brené Brown reminds us that vulnerability is where courage is born because it requires us to stand face to face with uncertainty and discomfort. It's easy to stand tall when we know the outcome, but it takes true strength to move forward when the future is unknown. This kind of strength is not about hiding behind armor, but about showing up wholeheartedly and saying, this is me, flaws and all. For Brené Brown, vulnerability isn't about giving up control, it's about releasing the need to control others' perceptions of us. We often hide parts of ourselves out of fear that others might judge or reject us. Yet Brené points out that living in that fear keeps us trapped in a cycle of perfectionism and self-doubt. When we embrace vulnerability, we liberate ourselves from the exhausting need to appear flawless. We accept that we are human, and in doing so, we open the door to authentic self-acceptance. Brené Brown believes that the willingness to be vulnerable also creates resilience. Life inevitably comes with setbacks, failures, and pain, and by allowing ourselves to feel these things, we grow stronger. Vulnerability allows us to face challenges without shutting down, to process emotions instead of suppressing them. When we are open to vulnerability, we give ourselves permission to heal, to adapt, and to thrive despite adversity. Every act of courage, love, or growth we admire in others is rooted in vulnerability. When we look up to someone who has created something beautiful or achieved something meaningful, what we're truly admiring is their willingness to put themselves out there to take the risk, to be vulnerable. Brené Brown's work invites us to reframe vulnerability as not something to be feared, but as the foundation of all that is authentic, real, and strong. Brené Brown teaches that embracing imperfection is a powerful pathway to living a more wholehearted, fulfilling life. So often we are conditioned to believe that perfection is the goal, that success, happiness, and acceptance hinge on eliminating flaws and mistakes. But Brené Brown challenges this narrative, reminding us that perfectionism is not a key to happiness, rather. It is a shield we use to avoid judgment, failure, and vulnerability. When we embrace imperfection, we step away from these unrealistic standards and allow ourselves to be fully human, inviting authenticity, self-compassion, and connection. Perfectionism, as Brené Brown describes, is rooted in the fear of not being good enough. It creates a relentless pursuit of flawlessness, often at the expense of our mental health and relationships. Embracing imperfection, however, is an act of self-acceptance. It means acknowledging that we are enough just as we are, without needing to meet an impossible standard. When we let go of perfectionism, we give ourselves permission to try, fail, and grow, understanding that mistakes are not signs of inadequacy, but stepping stones on the path to improvement. Brené Brown speaks to the fact that imperfection is not only a part of life, it's essential for creativity, learning, and growth. The fear of making mistakes can hold us back from taking risks or exploring new opportunities, yet it is in these imperfect, unpredictable moments that we find our greatest breakthroughs. By embracing imperfection, we open ourselves to a world of possibilities, allowing ourselves to be bold, curious, and resilient. When we stop fearing failure, we are more likely to take the steps needed to chase our dreams, express ourselves, and create meaningful impact. The act of embracing imperfection also builds our capacity for self-compassion. Brené Brown encourages us to treat ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a friend. Instead of criticizing ourselves for every perceived flaw or failure, we can learn to view these moments with gentleness and understanding. Self-compassion allows us to recognize that we're all in this together, that everyone struggles, fails, and feels vulnerable. By embracing our imperfections, we foster a sense of inner peace and resilience, knowing that we are worthy even in our most unpolished moments. Brené Brown reminds us that embracing imperfection also strengthens our relationships. When we present ourselves as perfect or attempt to hide our flaws, we create a barrier that keeps us from truly connecting with others. True connection, as Brene explains, is built on authenticity and vulnerability, and that requires showing up as our imperfect selves. By accepting our own flaws, we become more empathetic and compassionate toward others, fostering deeper and more meaningful connections. We start to see that our imperfections don't make us less deserving of love, they make us more relatable, more genuine, and more human. Embracing imperfection also means releasing the pressure to constantly prove our worth. When we accept that we are enough as we are, we free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation. Brené Brown teaches that we don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. Our value is inherent, and embracing imperfection allows us to live with a greater sense of freedom and joy. Instead of measuring ourselves by external standards, we begin to trust our own worth, focusing on growth, kindness, and authenticity over flawless performance. Brené Brown's message encourages us to recognize that life's beauty often lies in its imperfections. Whether it's a project that didn't go as planned, a relationship that faces challenges, or an attempt that ended in failure, each experience adds to our journey in unique and meaningful ways. Embracing imperfection means acknowledging that life is messy, and that's what makes it rich and real. By letting go of perfection, we find the courage to live a life that is authentic, whole, and unapologetically true to who we are. Brené Brown teaches us that true growth rarely occurs within the safety of our comfort zones. Comfort may feel safe, familiar, and even satisfying, but it can also trap us, keeping us from discovering our potential, our strength, and our purpose. Growth, on the other hand, requires us to step into uncertainty, to push beyond what we know, and to face the discomfort that comes with change. This journey is challenging, yet it is through embracing discomfort that we experience real transformation. Brené Brown highlights that comfort can act as a shield that prevents us from facing our fears and limitations. It may feel tempting to stay where we feel competent, where risks are minimal, and where our pride is intact. But this comfort zone, while safe, becomes a barrier to realizing what we are capable of. Growth requires us to lean into discomfort, to confront our insecurities, and to risk failure. Every time we choose to reject comfort, we choose courage. We choose to step closer to our true potential and to the person we want to become. Growth is not easy, and Brené Brown emphasizes that it requires vulnerability. When we pursue something new, whether it's a career change, a difficult conversation, or a new skill, we put ourselves in a position where we might fail, be judged, or feel exposed. This fear can hold us back, but Brené teaches that vulnerability is a powerful form of strength. By facing discomfort, we build resilience, grit, and confidence. Growth isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about finding the courage to push through it, trusting that we can handle whatever comes our way. Brené Brown reminds us that by rejecting comfort, we give ourselves permission to learn. Growth often involves making mistakes, experiencing setbacks, and encountering criticism. These experiences may be uncomfortable, but they are the very things that teach us valuable lessons. Every time we fail or face a challenge, we gain insights that we couldn't have acquired within the safety of our comfort zones. Brene believes that our greatest wisdom comes from these moments of discomfort. When we allow ourselves to struggle and learn, we not only grow in skill, but also in character, understanding, and empathy. Rejecting comfort also invites us to redefine success. Brené Brown encourages us to look beyond external achievements and focus instead on personal growth and integrity. Comfort can lead us to chase approval, status, or material success, but growth invites us to pursue what genuinely matters. When we choose growth, we may face risks and even failure, but we are living in alignment with our values, taking actions that reflect who we are. By choosing the harder path, we build a sense of purpose and fulfillment that far surpasses the shallow rewards of comfort. Brené Brown reminds us that choosing growth over comfort can also have a transformative impact on our relationships. When we're willing to face discomfort, we become more open to honest communication, vulnerability, and conflict resolution. Rather than avoiding difficult conversations or hiding parts of ourselves, we learn to show up authentically, even if it means confronting uncomfortable truths. This courage strengthens our connections as it fosters trust, respect, and deeper understanding. Growth within relationships isn't about staying safe, but about building genuine bonds that can withstand the trials of life. Rejecting comfort for growth also allows us to build a legacy of courage. Brené Brown speaks to the idea that our actions inspire those around us. When we choose the path of growth, we show others that it's possible to step into the unknown, to challenge limits, and to rise above fears. This choice doesn't just impact us, it has a ripple effect on our families, friends, colleagues, communities. By embodying the courage to reject comfort, we create a culture where growth, resilience, and authenticity are valued, empowering others to do the same. For Brené Brown, growth is about continually evolving, even when it's hard, uncomfortable, or intimidating. Comfort may bring temporary relief, but true fulfillment lies in the journey of becoming our best selves, of discovering the resilience within us, and of finding joy in progress over perfection. Growth invites us to live fully, to face each day with curiosity, courage, and a readiness to embrace whatever challenges come our way. It is this willingness to move beyond comfort that allows us to create a life of purpose, meaning, and authenticity.